He was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers are a good deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shanklin, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Airbox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrente scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoe put Torrente ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Stopera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas' Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonese in the final of the Serie A season. The loss for Cremonese confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas' side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers have been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to pick world number 83 Giovanni Mpeshi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds on Sunday to reach another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally into golf, Wyndham Clark had an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyos said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers are a good deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shanklin, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Airbox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrente scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoe put Torrente ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Stopera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas' Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonese in the final of the Serie A season. The loss for Cremonese confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas' side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers had been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to beat world number 83 Giovanni Mpeshi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from a set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally, into golf, Wyndham Clark carded an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyos said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers have agreed a deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shanklin, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Ibrox club, is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrente scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoye put Torrente ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Stopera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a 4th top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas's Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonense in the final of the Serie A season. The loss for Cremonense confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas's side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers had been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to beat world number 83 Giovanni Mpeshi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally, into golf, Wyndham Clark carded an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyer said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers are a good deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shanklin, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Ibrox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrense scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoe put Torrense ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Topera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas' Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonese in the final of the Serie A season. The loss for Cremonese confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas' side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Bash, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers have been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to pick world number 83 Giovanni Mpeshi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday, she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from a set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally, into golf, Wyndham Clark had an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyer said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers are a good deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shanklin, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Ibrox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrense scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoe put Torrense ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Topera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. in his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas's Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonense in the final of the Serie A season. The loss of Cremonense confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas's side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers have been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to pick world number 83 Giovanni Mpessi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from a set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally into golf, Wyndham Clark had an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyos said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers have agreed a deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shankland, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Ibrox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers sad missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrense scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoye put Torrense ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Dopera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas's Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonense in the final of the Serie A season. The loss of Cremonense confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas's side doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers have been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to pick world number 83 Giovanni Mpessi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from a set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally into golf, Wyndham Clark carried an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking normally as he headed straight down the tunnel. And Hoyos said he was fatigued, he was tired, the pitch was heavy. Standard approach is to always ensure you don't take any risks. Argentina's squad is due to be named next week. Their opening game is on the 16th of June. Elsewhere, and Rangers are a good deal for Hearts striker Lawrence Shankland, subject to a medical. The Scotland forward has been consistently linked with the Ibrox club. Is set to become Danny Rowell's first summer signing. The 30-year-old led Hearts to second place this season, with the Tankers side missing out on the title on the final day. Since joining in 2022, he's got 88 goals in 171 appearances. Elsewhere in football, second division side Torrense scored a penalty in extra time to shock holders Sporting and win the Portuguese Cup. Kevin Zoya put Torrense ahead after 3 minutes, but Luis Suarez equalised for 18-time winner Sporting at the start of the second half. Sporting's Maximiliano Araujo was sent off in extra time after conceding a penalty against Stopera to allow him to score from the spot. A fantastic achievement then for them, as we turn our attention to the Italy situation with manager Antonio Conte. He's announced he will leave Napoli this summer, 12 months after guiding the club to the Serie A title. The former Chelsea and Tottenham boss took charge of Napoli in 2024. In his first season, delivered a fourth top-flight title in their history, but this year they finished second, 11 points behind Inter Milan, and he's now decided to step down. Cesc Fabregas' Como qualified for the Champions League for the first time in their history with a 4-1 win over Cremonese in the final of the Serie A season. The loss for Cremonese confirmed their relegation to Serie B. Cesc Fabregas is signed doing the business at the other end of the table. Elsewhere, for cricket, it's early days in the Vitality T20 Blast, but 8 teams remain unbeaten in the competition after wins for Surrey, Northants, Durham, Somerset and Yorkshire. Into Formula 1, George Russell suffered a major blow to his title hopes as retirement from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix handed victory to teammate Kimi Antonelli. The two Mercedes drivers had been staging a really good battle for the lead, swapping places several times, but Russell's car suddenly stopped on lap 30 and Antonelli was able to take full advantage. Into Rugby League, Warrington beat Bradford 26-12 to maintain their 100% home record to turn up the heat at the top of the Super League. Elsewhere, into other news, there was a good performance from Novak Djokovic as he managed to fight from a set down to pick world number 83 Giovanni Mpessi Pericard in his latest match in the French Open. Elsewhere, Britain's Francesca Jones has suffered to be able to defy the odds. On Sunday she reached another milestone she was once told would be really difficult to do, as she managed to battle back from a set down to win 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the French Open second round as well. And finally into golf, Wyndham Clark carried an 11 under par final round of 60 to win the CJ Cup by 3 shots and finish on 30 under par. That's all in for the latest headlines. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm Tom Helm. We'll start with news in football. Argentina star Lionel Messi suffered an injury scare before the World Cup, requesting to be substituted during Inter Miami's Major League Soccer game on Sunday. Remember, coach Guillermo Hoyos later suggested the 38 forward replacement against the Philadelphia Union was precautionary because of pitch conditions in wet Miami. The 22-year-old World Cup winner came off in the 73rd minute of the game, clutching the back of his left leg, but it appeared to be walking.
And Tony Watt. We're just about to get underway, just mere minutes away, as St Mirren will host Partick Thistle. And it's a warm welcome to this evening's independent off-tube studio commentary of the second leg of the Scottish Premiership playoff as St Mirren host a Partick Thistle, and already down the right-hand side come the visitors into the penalty area looking for an opportunity. It's cleared away by the host, not confidently, it has to be said. Richardson in the end, the man to nod it away. Of course, one apiece in the first leg. The winner of this will be playing Scottish Premiership football next season. The loser into the Championship. A big game this evening from the Spicer Stadium As I say, 1 apiece. St Mirren kind of getting the job done, not losing in their away leg. And now they've got the home leg to turn things around. The massive favourites coming into this evening should be an interesting one. St Mirren have the edge as well in recent history against no losses in the last 4. And as well on a team streak, there's no losses in the last 12 for Partick Thistle. The last team to beat them was St Mirren in March in the Cup. So a little bit of preview there. I'll take you through all the changes and the 11s. It's 2 changes for St Mirren and 1 change for Partick Thistle in just a moment. But it's myself, Lewis Rafter. I'm joined by Dale Rosso. I'll take you through all the action this evening between the two sides. And well, it's a big one. Premiership football to Championship football. It was a tense first leg, 1 apiece. How do you see it going?
Well, I think it could go either way. Of course, the favourites are always going to be the side coming from higher up. So I think St Mirren do have that edge, especially being the home side in this game as well. But Partick Thistle, as you said, haven't lost in 12 games. Also shown that they can score against St Mirren in the reverse fixture, but know that they know how to find the back of the net. Obviously beating Dunfermline 3-2 as well. So clearly options for goals.
100%. Could go either way, of course. It's a lovely evening up and down the UK. It's been a very warm warm day. It's been a warm weekend as well. Did cover the playoff final in League 2. 36 degrees it reached at Wembley. My word, it was a warm afternoon. It looks like it's a nice sunny evening for a good game of football, so neither side should have any worries. Maybe the goalkeepers might say the sun was in my eyes. Apart from that, shouldn't be too many worries this evening. It's a long ball forward to the right hand side, well held up there by Mirren. As well to skip away, still has the ball. Big tackle coming in there from Reading, and it goes out of play. So as I say, a couple of changes throughout the two sides for St Mirren. It is a duo. O'Hara and King drop out. Richardson and Young come into the lineup, whereas it's just a 1 change for Thistle. Chalmers is out and Stanway is in to the lineup. So quickly, it's Sinclair in goal for St Mirren. Looks to be a back three of Godjic, Freckleton and Skipper Fraser. Tanzer off the left, Richardson off the right as wing-backs. Devaney, Phillips and Campbell as the midfield 3, and Mandron and Young as the 2 up top in a 3-5-2. Whereas for the visitors, it's Clark in goal, a back 4 of McPherson, Ashcroft, Lowry and Reading. Stanway, Macbeth, Crawford and Fitzpatrick as the midfield 4, with Watt and Samuel as the forward duo. We'll say a couple of the tracking apps that we use and so forth. A lot of our sources, I would have 4-4-2. The broadcasters did say that it was maybe a 3-5-2 for Partick Thistle, so that's something we'll keep an eye on. Of course, formations these days here, there and everywhere. Here comes St Mirren down the left hand side for the first time. Big tackle coming in at the back there from Ashcroft, the skipper this evening. And it will be the first corner, and just like any single game, set pieces could be absolutely massive.
Well, they certainly could. I think whichever team gets the set pieces down pat early on in the match can really go on and control the game. Obviously from an offensive and defensive point of view, if you can shut down the other side from set pieces, you basically have them done.
They do take it short here, St Mirren, but then it is swung into the back post. Header comes in, it's on target, just a little bit behind Fraser there, unfortunately. Don't think it was a bad delivery at all from the left hand side, and I mean, we cover a lot of games, how many short corners and routines do we see? But I don't mind that one because it was a quick corner straight into the play. He's always going to whip the cross in. I like that. Unfortunately, Fraser's a bit behind. If he's running onto it, it's probably a much better chance.
Yeah, 100%. I think if he's not having to angle his head around the ball to try and get it on target, he'll have a little bit more power. Even if it is closer to the goalkeeper, with that power, it can always get past him. And it was a great ball into the box. And as you said, because it was a short pass that was quick, it made Partick Thistle just think about it for a moment, but then they still had to come and defend it.
It made them have to move around, didn't it, and maybe try and close down the crosser of the ball. It's been a good start for St Mirren. Ball forward. That's a loose foul. Big tackle coming in there from Ashcroft. Wins the ball though to his credit. Back to the right hand side though for the host. Ball over the top. Richardson not on the same wavelength there, and you can see Phillips was looking at his teammate saying, I thought you were going to make that run as a flying wing back, but it didn't come to any fruition, so it will be a goal kick for the visitors. I've seen Macbeth getting involved as well. Big tackle coming in. Well, he wins the ball, but maybe, and I don't know, maybe in the Premier League that might have been a foul. I'm not too sure. We've seen things like that given, of course, as well. And I mean, credit to both sides. The Spice Stadium, it's not a massive stadium, but it's absolutely packed out. There's a massive support from either side, and one thing that you can guarantee is there's a good atmosphere here this evening between the two sides. On ball forward, too much on it, and into the arms of Sinclair, who bowls it out. Just about to hit 6 minutes on the clock. St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, but of course there is one apiece on aggregate. That's maybe more of the thing to take into account this evening. Long ball forward, well held up there. Richardson 1-2, ball over the top, looking for Young to get in behind. He's a pacey forward, well held there out of the back by Lowry. And Partick Thistle come away with the ball. Both teams are wanting to get on the ball, credit to them, but they're not overly wanting the ball. They're happy to go direct. And what I will say is both teams are almost playing with that forward two strikers. You don't see that often. You don't see both teams playing with a striker duo. So you've got players that are very close to each other and can link up with each other. Yeah,
100%. It certainly is more of a traditional English route, well, British route to football. But yeah, it's certainly not something you see every day nowadays, but it's a tried and proven way to play football, and clearly it's gotten these teams so far already, as the ball through the middle is overplayed. But I think it'll show that traditionally you have a bigger striker and a shorter striker. Obviously for St Mirren, Mandrone being that bigger, bulkier striker, hold up play and allowing players to play through him, you can certainly make for interesting football.
Yeah, spot on. He's already held it up a good few times, hasn't he? That lovely just chest into Richardson. He's very hard to get even close to. He's spot on. He's an absolute unit of a number 9. Is at the St Mirren forward. They've got the ball at the back at the moment with Tanzer. That's a poor pass out to Tanzer, I should say, that time from Freckleton. So it will be a throw-in on the right-hand side. Taken quickly, heavy touch there. Phillips is going to get there. I think he just keeps it in place. It's going to go all the way back to the goalkeeper. He has, so he's sliding tackle to win it. He wins the ball all the way back to Clark in the Partick Thistle goal. He will go long, way too much on that. They will go goalkeeper to goalkeeper. And almost as well, I know, whether it ever happened, away goals were a thing of the past everywhere. So it's almost a free hit for both sides. Yeah, it's one apiece, but it's win or go home kind of situation this evening. One well driving back there, Godzic, but he's dispossessed. Now Partick Thistle could come forward into the penalty area, lets it overrun, passes it in the middle, strike comes in just outside the area from Fitzpatrick there. Godzic, he thought he had it held, and then it was just good play, however, from Samuel to come away with the ball. Plays it into the middle. He just loses his foot in there, Godzic, as well as being tackled. Should Fitzpatrick be doing better with a strike?
I think the strike's not too bad. By the time the ball actually comes towards Fitzpatrick, he's still got to bend it around a good 3 or 4 St Mirren players. I think the pass to him is more the issue. It's a late pass. It didn't look like he wanted to pass it initially. He wanted to shoot, did the Partick Thistle man, but nonetheless they've won a corner.
It's whipped in right to the back post. It's put back into a dangerous area. He'll fall for what? Goes for a strike, but more of a cross has been put back in. St Mirren still under pressure. It's cleared away for the moment. It's going to be swung to the right hand side. Be a nice ball in the end for Stanway. Takes it down the byline. Ball is put in, but Godzic just deals with it by booting it long and out of play for a throw in there. Not making any mistakes at the back, just keeping it nice and calm. If you will, might be a long throw and couldn't be. We'll have to see what Partick Thistle come up with. It's on the right hand side. Quick throwing into Macbeth, back to the fullback. Can he find the ball into the box? It's deflected away and out for a corner. So this is a good little sequence of play, if you will, from the visitors. At the moment, no one's really got the foot on the ball, and he's coming away with anything, it has to be said. But it is an important start to the game. Looking at goals in the opening 15 minutes for Partick Thistle, 16 level with Celtic. Of course, that's in the Championship compared to the Premiership, of course. That's a little bit different. It's an outswinger, and it's fizzed into the area, nodded into a dangerous area. Richardson clears it away, headed back. It's a frantic opportunity. Header comes in, and it just goes wide. And at the moment, St Mirren, it's just a ball into the box, but they're getting bodies up there at Partick Thistle. And St Mirren are struggling from these set pieces.
Yeah, they really are. I think it's similar to what we said earlier on in the matchup right at the start. the team who controls the set pieces does really have an advantage in this game, because there are going to be moments where the game's not going to flow the way you'd want it to. You're not going to be able to control every aspect, but if your set pieces are good, you're always going to have opportunities, and I think Partick Thistle are creating a bit of chaos in that St Mirren box.
Yeah, they're happy just to, if anything, they're not bothered possession, they're bothered, but they want to put under pressure the St Mirren players, put balls into dangerous areas, get it down the outside, put balls into the box. As you kind of said, it's maybe that old-fashioned route, but if it works, it definitely works. That's a foul by Richardson on Samuel there, so it will be a free kick. Of course, Partick Thistle haven't been in the Premiership since the 2017-2018 season. Also did have that little bit of a dip into the League One of Scottish football in 2020-21. That would have been their COVID season, if you will. They've had a good, strong few seasons in the Championship, in the second tier of Scottish football, finishing 4th last season, got 2nd at the moment. Well, with the season's finished here, our second ball floated to the edge of the area, nodded away by Gogic. Now St Mirren can take it on a counter-attack, as Dale's already pointed out. I've got Mandrin as the bigger option, but they've got the wing-backs who will fly forward. Young's a very, very pacey forward. Remember him from his short stint at Bradford at City. A really good loan spell as well, where he scored a lot of goals. Partick Thistle pressing high to win the ball. Is that going to be a foul? Yes, it is. What, just making a bit of a nuisance of himself, and another set piece. What just always seems to just be getting to the front of the ball there is what, whenever he gets there, just a good opportunity, wins the ball first and foremost, then brings it into him, takes it past his man. The problem there for Eccleston, he almost just shows his back to the man. It's not really a proper foul, but it may be a little bit sloppy defending, if you will.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a foul in the sense that he's not swung a leg at his man or really thrown anything into it, but what he has done is he's fully just stood in the way and made himself into a massive obstacle, which, when the Partick Thistle man's running straight through him, it's never going to end well. It just keeps him away from any blame, really.
Yeah, of course, when I mentioned Jake Young, 23-24 season, went along to Swindon Town, only for the first half of the season, scored 16 goals in League Two. Never really picked up form since then. Free kick's taken quickly, and trying to catch the goalkeeper Sinclair. Out there was Fitzpatrick, hit the netting, hit the side netting. I thought he was going to loop one into the back post there, and you can see what he's doing. He hits it quite nicely, of course, it's not on target. I do feel watching it back, though, even if it was on target, maybe Sinclair would have read it and probably saved that one. Yeah,
I think it would have been a relatively easy save for Sinclair. I think the issue for the Partick Thistle man there was he was too close to the goal, really, to take that shot on, but there might be a mistake here.
There is a mistake. The goalkeeper comes out to claim it, though. Again, maybe that's, you always speak about, don't use certain things, making mistakes, maybe the nerves, of course, and it's one of them, that's a foul in the middle of the field, and at the moment, St Mirren are struggling to even get on the ball, and sometimes as well, I covered the Bradford City Bolton second leg of their playoff before, of course, Bolton went to Wembley. It's almost, yes, St Mirren are the favourites, they're at home. Sometimes, in front of your home crowd, that's where there's more pressure on, because they are favourites, to win this. Partick Thistle coming in just thinking, well, as long as we don't lose and we put a good performance in, we could get a goal from a set piece or do something. All of the pressure is on St Mirren, and they haven't had a good season either, of course. So, if anything, sometimes that can work against you.
Yeah, it certainly can, and I think we're seeing that in the first 15 minutes, that St Mirren come into this game almost expecting to have the ball a little bit more, expecting to control it, maybe expecting a bit of fear from Partick Thistle, but they're not giving it to them. They're not giving them the respect that they're trying to demand, and they almost have to come into this game and force them to respect them. They need to make them defend and obviously force them to make mistakes and win the ball back inside their own box. But as of right now, Partick Thistle coming forward and playing lovely football.
Yeah, they're really playing. They're playing St Mirren off the park at the moment. Cleared away off the back, unlucky there of Samuel, and out for a goal kick. About to hit the 15th minute of this second leg. It is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0. Great away support. Practically the away end, the entire end is Partick Thistle. Red and yellow. That stands out from a mile away, it has to be said. It's 0-0 on the evening, 15 minutes on the clock. It's one apiece so on aggregate, so it is all to play for. From the goal kick, it's taken short to Gogic. He's driving forward, still given a lot of space, and looks to play it long over the top. Richardson's going to get there down the right hand side, cuts back in, looks for options, plays it centrally. into the overlapping run, a ball into the back sticks. It's headed away by Fitzpatrick and cleared even further away. Godzic is going to get there in front of what to come away with the ball. Is that a foul? It's going to be a foul by Godzic there. Both were all over each other, really. Can see why it's gone either way. Once again, though, Watt just making a real nuisance of himself. Can imagine those St Mirren defenders don't really want to see him. Looking at the stats so far in the game, St Mirren one shot on target. Of course, that was a header from Fraser. They've had more possession, just a shade under 60%. They have 5 shots so far, Partick Thistle. They haven't tested the goalkeeper yet. And I think that's the only thing that maybe Mark Wilson will say. He's not saying we should have scored or we should have done this, but maybe with some of those shots, we maybe could have got on target.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's great for Partick Thistle currently to have this pressure building and obviously momentum swinging in their way, but the fact that they're still yet to really test the hands of Sinclair and obviously all the touches and shots, maybe they just want a little bit more quality now as opposed to quantity.
100%. From that header it came in, I didn't quite catch it. I want to say it was Samuel, he put it wide. That's when you think, could you have got that on target at the goalkeeper? Long ball forward to the left-hand side. Lovely touch from Tanzer into the feet of Mandrin, but he's in an offside position. That's pretty poor from the forward as well, because there's no need to be in an offside position there for the St Mirren number 9. So they let Partick Thistle off with one there, and they've got a free kick. And again, as Dale rightfully said, they are playing some nice stuff on the floor of Partick Thistle. I will say it is very close, and I can understand if a referee were to give that, or a linesman I should say, or not. Partick Thistle have it down the left hand side regardless. Fitzpatrick, he's dispossessed. Richardson battling for the ball. He will win a throw-in on the right hand side. In this first half, the hosts are going from right to left in the usual black and white stripes, and Partick Thistle left to right in very much the same stripe combo, but of red and yellow. Ball over the top looking for Young, headed away by Redding, and nods it down for Ashcroft, who looking for options, looking to go long, dinks it over to the left hand side. Fitzpatrick with a nice first touch, brings it down, still looking for options. That's not a greatest of passes. Macbeth will come away with the ball, feeds it into the feet of Samuel. He'll switch it to the right hand side to McPherson, and he's got a bit of space to run into on this left hand side. Macbeth will swing one in. It'll basically be a bit of catching practice for Sinclair in goal. You can see what he's trying to do, of course, from a mile away, but it's one of them, it's like a curling shot, isn't it? He wants to curl it, and it kind of just goes straight as an hour into the keeper's arms.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate there from Macbeth. As you said, we could see what he was trying to do. What we saw wasn't necessarily what he was trying to do, though. And in the end, it was more a test for Sinclair to see if he could catch the ball while having the sun in his eyes.
Yeah, that's maybe the most have come to testing the goalkeeper with anything. Is if you're going to make a mistake with the sun in your eyes, how can you see this one coming? St Mirren on the ball once again in the middle. Devon, he tries to switch it out to the right side. Richardson had made a run, it was well behind him, so I'll have play for a throw. Can I already see Craig McLeish maybe not frustrated, just over 18 and a half minutes in. His side, though, I would say being second best. I'd say Partick Thistle have had the better of this opening near first half of the first half. Foul there on Samuel, so Partick Thistle will get the free kick about halfway into their own half, give or take, and I think it's going to be Lowry who's going to come forward. He's going to try and play it long. No, he isn't. Sells me and sells the St Mirren defence at the same time, and he'll go back to his goalkeeper Clark. Almost asking St Mirren to press them a little bit, come forward, put us under a bit of pressure. We're trying to open you up. Clark's given the opportunity to stride forward, and he will play a long ball looking for Samuel. Falls for what? That's a heavy first touch, and no one can really bring it down. Godzic does. Goes back to his goalkeeper in Sinclair, who will hoof it long. This time looking for Jake Young, brings it down nicely and still has the ball, turns away from his man, then loses his footing, but the referee will bring it back for a foul. I think from the original one when he turned away from his man, it might have been clipped at the heels there. But Jake Young, as I said, when I saw him at Bradford City, especially as I said in that loan at Swindon Town, he was absolutely excellent. He's had a couple of injuries, for example, never really got going past that. When I look at his stats this season for St Mirren, he hasn't really lit it up. 16 games, 3 goals. It's one of them, there's a player in there, and so sometimes as a forward, it might just be a little thing of getting those goals and getting a bit of confidence.
Yeah, I think you're entirely right. The confidence is always a big thing for forwards and attacking players, and I mean, if there's any game to get a goal and build your confidence going into next season, This could be it.
It could be the hero this evening, then the fans get on your side. I think you're right with that one. Long ball forward from said free kick. He's headed away. He's headed out for a throw-in as well. Fraser wants to take it. He'll leave it for Tanzer. And they're going to put a long one in. At the moment, looks like Tanzer's just waiting for a bit of a decision. I believe Phillips is coming over, and it might be him to take it. It will be the number 88. I will say he's a very tall midfielder, so you'd want he's when you see, for example, Chris Richards put him in. They've got great throw-ins, yeah, but you want them kind of in the box. He takes it short anyway. It's a really poor throw-in into Freckleton, I will say. And it puts him under a lot of pressure there, so that comes to nothing. Godjic then is going to spray it back to the left-hand side. It is overhit. Phillips will do well to keep it in play. Has he? Yes, he has. He continues to go as well. Still going. And then the referee points for the goal kick. It looks like it went out, but the referee allowed it to go a long time, unless the linesman on the other side has put his flag up there. I will say from the throw-in, though, we'll watch a replay back. Oh, it is very much out of play, but it did take a few extra seconds, unneeded seconds as well, to come to that decision. But that throw-in was complete nonsense, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one to say, really. Again, he's thrown it short to Freckleston, who's took a poor touch, and everyone's lined up in the box for St Mirren, so potentially an ad-lib called maybe by Phillips there to take it short instead. Maybe he thought something was developing that never really showed up to be the case, because everyone in a black and white shirt was in the box.
100%. I mean, as well as you say, see something, let's try something. Ball over the top. You're looking for Samuel. There's a coming together in the box. Referee says no penalty. Again, I think it was a coming together. I don't think it's a foul from either player. He's still down on the deck, though. He's the Partick Thistle man. I think it's more how he might have, unfortunately, hit the deck. There is a coming together. I think it's just good, strong defending from Fraser, if I'm honest, a shoulder to shoulder. And I think it's the fall on the left shoulder is why the number 9's still down.
Yeah, if anything, Samuel actually charged into the defender and felt how much of a brick wall Fraser was, and then obviously hit the deck because, I mean, he's holding his shoulder, which of course went into the man. It was his right shoulder that went into the ground. So two collisions from each side, but it's definitely that left shoulder of Samuel that's causing him the issue. The shoulder that went into the challenge, not the one that hit the ground.
He's still down, so you're not missing anything for the moment. Just an update as well. Just haven't mentioned it. Nick Walsh is the referee for all the action this evening. I think there might even be a small, quick drinks break whilst this injury is happening. At least St Mirren are taking advantage of it by just having a few words with the boss, Craig McLeish. You would say as well that, if we're being honest, that I think St Mirren could do with that little small break, if you will, that I think Partick Thistle have taken it to them a lot more. I think the last 5 minutes maybe St Mirren have calmed it down a little bit and not controlling the game. When we do look quickly at the match stats, as I say, more possession for St Mirren. One shot still, one on target from Fraser's header. He's just getting back to his feet now. Is Alex Samuel. 5 shots for Partick Thistle. It was Samuel with that header. I'd say that's the most dangerous one so far out of all of them. So he'll be able to continue. It might have just been a bit of a sore one, as well as he's getting up and just trying to move his shoulder. As you said, it's one collision with the brick wall that is Fraser, and then with the turf as well, which it's just awkward how you land, and he lands all of his body weight on his left shoulder. So probably a bit of a stinger, if you will, but we are back underway. So for the moment, Partick Thistle are down to 10 men. Just over 24 minutes played. We're into the 25th minute of action here. It's St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0. One apiece on aggregate. I will pass you to Dale, take you over to half-time.
Yeah, and coming through towards the byline is Richardson as he tries to play it back, edge of the area. Now shot comes in once more again. Kaleem Phillips with the strike, but it has been blocked. And now coming the other way are Partick Thistle, getting over the halfway line. Looks to play it up towards his left, does Samuel. Now with Watt. Now Fitzpatrick again as Partick Thistle pass the ball around nicely. It looked like they had an opportunity there to counter. They really had the space to run into, but opted, because they didn't have the bodies to really exploit that space, to slow things down and to recycle the play and start from scratch, as St Mirren now have numbers back in abundance. Up on the right hand side is Stanwhite. He plays it back towards McPherson, into Macbeth now. Partick Thistle with a lengthy period of possession here. A good 20 passes, and just as I say that, it's a poor misplaced pass which will find its way through to Sinclair. As St Mirren are back in possession again, inside their own half. No pressure on them though, as Gogic places it in towards Freckleton. And now towards this left-hand side is Campbell. Tanser, it's a lovely ball in behind for Mandron, and a ball into the box that has to be dealt with only towards the edge of the area. There was a heavy touch, allows the, well, it's in a middle space there that means that Campbell feels like he can still slide through it and win the ball, but realistically the ball was always going to be that of the Partick Thistle man.
Yeah, just watching it, the foul's been given as well. Tanser and Macbeth coming together there. I feel that's a little bit. Oh, maybe he does catch him first. It looks like to me as well. It's coming together. I guess the ball first. Does Tanser? To be fair, it's one of them where it's a very close one. At the time, I thought they actually both won the ball. It was off of each other. They're both kind of just taking a bit of a stinger there, haven't they? But as you said, that was a lovely ball down the left-hand side originally. Just couldn't maybe get the ball into the box, and that's what St Mirren need to do. We always speak about, well, however you like to look at it, 3 or 5 at the back, however you like to call it. You've got to use that to your advantage of get wide and get the wing backs in behind. They've not done that yet. When they have, Richardson once or twice has done that, haven't found the ball. They nearly did it then, and that's what St Mirren have to do more if that's what you're going to play.
Yeah, Jaden Richardson's definitely been better on that right hand side as opposed to Tanser on the left. Clear to see that Richardson's more comfortable to actually carry the ball forward, whereas Tanser wants to play a ball in behind and use his passing capabilities. As the throw-in comes in from Partick Thistle, up towards the right-hand side, now near the byline, cut across the box. The shot comes in, deflected and then cleared away. Deflected by Freckleton, cleared by Devaney, all the way to the halfway line. As Partick Thistle back in possession, although the pass, I actually don't want to blame the pass there. The pass, it seemed fine, but it looked like Fitzpatrick was maybe just caught a little flat-footed in his response to try and touch it down and keep possession for Partick Thistle. Nonetheless, this was a lovely cut back here.
I think Watt and Samuel are really linking up well out of the 2 strikers. I think the only thing you would say there, and I'm not saying it would have been the best option, I'm just not sure because Samuel's shot is blocked. I want to say Fitzpatrick was on the left-hand side inside the penalty area, and that might have been a really good option to try and pass it into him. The goalkeeper would have held Samuel's shot, but I think you're right, Fitzpatrick just caught flat-footed. If he's kind of moving onto it, yes, the ball fizzed into his feet, but then you take a good touch and you can stride forward. We haven't really had any clear-cut chances and no one's on top, but I think box to box, both teams are playing some good stuff.
Yeah, they certainly are, and of course both teams know that going into this game, currently level, last thing you want to do is make a mistake in the opening 30 minutes and suffer that for the rest of the game. So it will still have that cagey feeling to it, this match. Obviously a lot on the line in terms of Scottish Premiership football. No discredit to the Scottish Championship, of course, but neither side wants to go back there or go there next season. As Freckleton up towards the right-hand side, now with Campbell. Devaney, now to Jaden Richardson. It's a lovely pass in behind, cut back once more. Cleared away by Thistle. It was Crawford who got his foot in there and then has cleared it. Well, that's Route 1 football there, really, isn't it? Hit and hope, get it away. If you should get on the end of it, all the better.
Yeah, at the moment, I think, again, because no one has been on top in this game at all. Maybe you could say Partick Thistle, maybe just after the 10th minute had a bit of a 5-minute spell. Apart from that, no one's had that. So at the same time, it has been a lot of long balls away, back and forth. How many times have we probably said, oh, that's gone from goalkeeper to goalkeeper that time from a kick. They've won a set piece here of St Mirren really wide on the right side, and we already spoke about in the opening minutes, with how tense this game is, I could easily see a penalty being a difference maker or a set piece, and it comes in now.
Yeah, the ball into the box is met well by Loughrey, and then away once more by McPherson, who in doing so wins the free kick, and the culprit being Mandron, of course French born, but qualifies for the Scottish national team. But it was a lovely ball into the box, headed away well by Loughrey, and I don't think there's all too much in it there, to be honest. I mean, Mandron goes up into the air, but doesn't actually win the ball and doesn't make much contact with his man.
No, I think that's what just selling it quite well, if I'm being honest. I think maybe gets a bit of an elbow in maybe his upper back, but he goes down holding his head, doesn't he? If he went down holding his back or anything like that, fair enough. And I mean, I think as well, also Mandron, I'm not trying to sit here and say you need to sell or make it look like you haven't touched your opponent, but Mandron looks like he goes up and really gets in the face of what, doesn't it? So you just need to work it a little bit better, as I say. But here comes Fitzpatrick.
Yes, Fitzpatrick on the ball all the way towards the corner flag as he dribbles past Killian Phillips. Edge of the area now, lovely passage play, and a shot comes in, and it's a shot that's saved by Sinclair. But for a moment, echoes of a Spanish football there.
Yeah, that was a lovely piece of play. It was one of them that knew what they wanted to do. Macbeth into his striker, Samuel, he gives it straight back. They know exactly what they want to do there. And Sinclair doesn't cover himself in glory, does he, with the save? He almost, it's what goalkeepers do. They'll try and hit it down, won't they? Well, actually, no, he doesn't. He tries to save it. I thought he just put it down to catch it, got it all wrong. And that's when you speak about you've got to test the goalkeeper. That's a mistake there. It
certainly is. And another ball into the box, but it's Samuel with his back towards goal. He's now being dispossessed and cleared away by Gogic. And yeah, I think, exactly as you said, you've got to force the keeper to almost force the keeper to make the mistakes if he's got them in his locker. Of course, the sun starting to wane away from the pitch now, only on the wings. And it's that one corner, top right of our screens, that is really focused on. A little gap between the stands as well. As Partick Thistle win possession back inside their own half, but they're coming forward in numbers as McPherson cuts inside on his left foot. Now with Watt, he tries to play a ball in behind. It's actually a nice ball in the end, not too much weight on it, which allows Fitzpatrick to run up that left-hand side and get there. Crawford, back to Fitzpatrick. Once more now to Watt. Samuel, he's back to goal. Plays it into the box again. It's a lovely... The way that Partick Thistle are moving the ball around is really frustrating, it seems, for St Mirren, because they can't get close to it.
No, but they're getting players close to each other, aren't they? They're not just trying to play passes and it's 20 yards. They're almost 5 to 10 yards out of the quick touches and quick tempo. Here they come again.
And a shot comes in from distance, but it's popped up into the air. And it'll be an easy claim for Sinclair this time. He does knock it into the ground before picking it up. To only then bowl it out to Freckleton, who tries to switch the play up towards the right-hand side. Didn't have that pass in his locker, though, and ends up almost slicing it the wrong direction as it curls over the touchline for a Partick Thistle throw-in just from that far side, the left-hand side, as they come forward. Reading into Lockery, Macbeth all the way back now to Ashcroft, and a long ball over the top looking for Samuel, but he's ushered away from the ball by Gogic, and it'll be claimed by Sinclair. Back out to Gogic again. Really does have that rough traditional defender's look, doesn't he? Bald head, echoes of Martin Skrtel almost.
He does. If I was a striker, I'd probably try and go to one of his other partners and want to get involved with him. And he's a good player to boot, isn't he, as well? That's a lovely ball, and here comes St Mirren.
Yeah, St Mirren attacking in numbers. The pass to Mandron was there, but instead they've gone out towards this left-hand side. It's Tanzer, edge of the area, ball into the box, headed away by Reading. But it's only black and white shirts to claim the second ball, as Gogic helps out Richardson. Now in towards Campbell. Back to Richardson again. Drives towards the byline. Can he cut it back across goal? No, he can't. Did it take a deflection on its way? We'll wait to see what the referee has given there, but the reactions of the players would dictate it's a goal kick.
Yeah, well, once again, as you point out, Tanzer is someone who wants to... He's almost that supporting type of a wing back, whereas Richardson is, he wants to get the ball, wants to drive at his man, almost a winger-esque, and Tanzer's more of that full back, playing the wing back role. I'm not saying they're very similar, but it reminds me of, and I think it's a good idea to have one as a runner, one as a dribbler, one as a creator. Into man, DeMarco just wants to put crosses in all the time. Richardson wants to run at your man and almost get in the back sticks for a few goals. Exactly what kind of St Mirren want to do with that ball over the top. And Watt's taken another knock here. We'll have to wait and see if he did take a knock on the back of the head. But what I think that the problem with St Mirren have is, when you play with this system, you really need to get the wing backs wide, high and wide, and they need to act in attack. There need to be wingers. They're not really doing that at the moment, and in the transitional period, because St Mirren are playing this 4-4-2 with 2 wingers, 2 strikers, they're quickly transitioning. They've got more pace as well. Whereas when St Mirren attack, apart from Jake Young, there's not much pace, and it's easy then for Partick Thistle to get back and defend in droves.
Yeah, it certainly does seem to be the case. St Mirren looking to get a little bit more control on this game as they play a long ball over the top, all the way through to the goalkeeper, the safe feet of Clark. Now he'll roll it out towards Ashcroft. And then once more inside, trying to find Macbeth, but the pass is too powerful for the midfielder to bring down and control. Instead, they will give the ball back to St Mirren, who've then in turn played it all the way back to their goalkeeper. And again, we're starting to feel that caginess in this game, simply for the fact that neither side, they're not too worried about losing possession. It's about where they're losing possession. They'd rather get the ball away from their area, understanding the fact that yes, they are going to lose possession, but they can then set up to defend it properly, than try and take that risk of playing it out from the back, losing the possession and being caught out on the counter. In the end, it's resulting to this, oh, I'll play the ball over the top, your keeper will claim it, then it's your turn type of game.
Yeah, I think as well, it's almost, you spoke about mistakes, and especially you don't want to make one early on. It's almost, again, because it's that long ball, it's almost saying, right, will your defender, as a track back, will the slip? Will your goalkeeper make a mistake? That's kind of thing. A long ball over the top, it's actually not trying to get to our forwards, it's trying to get over your defenders and make a mistake. Again, another long ball, they're looking for Fitzpatrick. It's not looking for his feet because it's that overhit. It can't be looking for Fitzpatrick. It's more looking because Gogic made a mistake, didn't he, at the back, and Watt tackled him and won the ball, and they got a good chance from that. And it's almost that's what they're trying to do, is just force the other team into mistakes instead of making something themselves, because it's such a tense game. So it's understandable, but now we're in the 38th minute. The first 15-20, that's where I understand it a bit more. You don't want to give anyone something easy so early on so they can latch onto it for the rest of the game. But to say in the first half we've only had 2 shots on target, I think both teams have to be a little bit braver. Not too silly, but a little bit braver.
Yes, brave, not silly. There is a difference, of course. There's a ball in behind looking for Young. The pacey Young, but in the end it's an easy claim for the Partick Thistle goalkeeper, Josh Clark, the Northern Irish national, who will roll the ball out of his box, take a moment before then playing a long ball over the top, looking for Stanway on that left-hand side. But it has been headed clear by Gogic, and St Mirren have numbers back to defend. And then in turn, Partick Thistle will play it all the way back to Clark in the end. They've played a long ball over the top, had it headed away for a throw-in, and then gone back to the goalkeeper to play a long ball over the top once more. Trying to draw out this St Mirren side quite clearly, but a ball in behind now finds Mandrone, edge of the area. He takes a shot, and it's not a bad effort. It's on the ground, it's hard and low into the ground. It would have been a difficult one for Clark to get down to, but it was always Kalen away from goal, unfortunately.
I think it's a good drive forward for initially from Phillips as well. And look, if maybe that is my wing back, I'm not happy he's taking that strike. But when it's your number 9 who's had really nothing, yeah, take that shot on you. You've got it wrong, but who knows as well? Maybe he drags it a bit further wide and someone latches on at the back post to it. Maybe he fizzes it in. Defender tries to clear it, goes over the goalkeeper in the back of the net. I don't mind it when it's your striker. And again, when you've not had a sniff at goal, you just need to sometimes just say, let me get this shot out of my system almost. I want to have a strike. Here comes Watt though.
Yes, Watt coming forward, edge of the area. He has been dispossessed, and Killian Phillips will get it away. St Mirren now coming forward, trying to navigate the midfield as coming together there between 2 Partick Thistle players, loses possession. And then a poor pass from St Mirren gives it back to them. Just inside the St Mirren half. It's a lovely pass in behind to try and find Tony Watt up against Gog. A lovely turn from Watt. Put the ball into the area as he cuts it back. Edge of the area. Shot comes in and it's taken a deflection. And it's an easy catch and practice in the end for Sinclair. But the turn from Watt there to get away from Gogic almost lured him in, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He showed him his left-hand side, then went down the right. Lovely play. I think he's trying. I want to say it's Fitzpatrick. He's trying to find on the edge of the area. Fitzpatrick keeps his run up and then it goes behind him, and it falls for Stanway. It's probably going wide, isn't it? His original effort, then takes that deflection, and at first you thought, he could go anywhere, and the deflection really took the sting out of the strike. So you spot on it. It was an easy save, catching practice, to quote yourself. And look, St Mirren coming forward now. Though Richardson.
Yes, Richardson on the right-hand side, ball in behind, finds Mandrone, cut across once more, edge of the area now, shot comes in, and it's saved by Clark. Similar shot, really, there from Phillips, but yeah, it just pops up into the air, and it's an easy catch for Clark.
Yeah, I think he wants to take it first time, doesn't he? And then he thinks, that's going to get blocked, let me try and turn it. It's on his weaker left boot as well. I think if he were turning onto his right, he might have got a sweeter strike off. But as I said, I think that's the difference right there. Is I said about being brave, not silly. That's Richardson being a winger, and they create something down that right-hand side. That's what you've got to try and do. And at the moment, both sides are pushing for that goal later on in this first half.
It certainly has. The ball comes up the right-hand side for St Mirren, intercepted though by Reading. Now with Samuel. Ball in behind. It's a lovely pass, trying to find the teammate Crawford, who made the late run. But in the end, it's ushered back to safety for St Mirren. Partick Thistle trying to win the ball back high up the pitch. St Mirren forced to play the long ball over the top, and again, it's an easy claim for the goalkeeper. I think at a certain point you can understand, yes, they're trying to force mistakes, and yes, that might work, but they're also now 42 minutes into the game. Both teams clearly warmed up, and the passes are just going straight to the goalkeeper every time. At a certain point, you've got to try something else.
100%. And that's what we spoke about, isn't it? The first 10-15 minutes, as you said, you're warming up to the game. You're trying to see what your opponent's up to as well, and you don't want to give them anything easy. That's the important thing. Yeah, 42 minutes on the clock. You need to be thinking, right, this isn't working. The first 5 minutes or so, maybe closer to 15, Mirren was, every time it was pinged into him, he brought it down on his chest, no one get close to him, and then he just lay it off to an on-running teammate, and it worked really well. Now, when they're pinging it to him, he's getting doubled up every time, so you can't do that. So they've now resorted to, as you spoke about, just trying to put it over and look for runners. But then, apart from Jake Young, there is no runner, so yeah, St Mirren have, I think, failed to adapt, whereas I think Partick Thistle have adapted a little bit better.
They certainly have. St Mirren have a throw-in just inside their own half, as it's thrown into the centre of the park and cleared away by the Canadian at the back, Loughrey. And Macbeth's gone to ground here, so referee Nick Walsh will make sure he's all right. I didn't see much contact, really. Maybe just on the follow-through. It's actually off the ball entirely. And just the flailing leg of Mandrone that just caught the Partick Thistle man. Nonetheless, it's a free kick, actually, to St Mirren. Of course, there was a push in the back to Mandrone, which would have meant his leg was flailing out. But nonetheless, the free kick's taken very poorly, as it's low and hard into the ground. You can see what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to play it across the ground, almost skimming over the grass and play it in behind Partick Thistle, but in the end, the Manchester United loanee's got it all wrong. Yeah,
like you say, you can see what he's trying to do. The problem is, even if the player made the run, it's well overhit. That's what you would be disappointed with. If the player makes the run and it's underhit, you'd rather that, but Partick Thistle coming forward again.
Yes, up this left-hand side now is Stanway, cuts in on his right foot, and they're trying that give-and-go football again. St Mirren, but Partick Thistle, sorry. But they've given the ball back to St Mirren, and then actually won it inside the St Mirren half. Now coming up this right-hand side as Tony Watt skips away from his man in Tanza and draws in the foul as well. So it will be a Partick Thistle free kick slightly to the right-hand side of the penalty area. And yes, Tanza just completely late in the challenge, suckered in completely.
Oh, it was lovely play to take it, as you say, then go away from him. Really quick feet from the Partick Thistle man. It'll be interesting for stoppage time. We're just about to hit the 45th minute, 45 minutes on the clock, and apart from the stoppage for Samuel, and I think that was taken as a drinks break, I don't think there was too much stoppages in the game. But this is a really good chance. It's never a bad time to score, but I think scoring early on and late on in half, that's always a great time to score.
Yes, it certainly is. And a ball coming in from this right-hand side into the middle of the area, headed away by Fraser. Fired back into the area, though, by Fitzpatrick, and then hooked away once more by the St Mirren defence. There's a little bit of head tennis is going on in midfield, and eventually it's Mandrone who wins it back for St Mirren, laying it off and then making his run. They've gone all the way back to Sinclair. Now up towards Gogic on this right-hand side. Devaney, Campbell looks to switch the play. Plays it to Freckleton on the left-hand side of the centre circle. His attempted pass was fired straight back towards him, though. St Mirren, number 21. As he now on the 10. Tries to find a teammate in the middle of the park. Finding Phillips. Now with Richardson. Back to Phillips once more. Campbell, edge of the area. Lays it off to the left-hand side. It's Tanza, puts the ball into the box. Mandrone touches it down with his chest well, but he can't get the shot away. And he's charged down rather effectively by Redding. Mandrone, edge of the area, into the box now as it's hooked on once more. And it's a lovely ball into the box there to try and find Campbell. He's in so much space, and he's trying to find a pass instead of trying to shoot.
Again, we spoke about mistakes. I think that's almost, again, first of all, trying to pass it in the back of the net is exactly what St Mirren are trying to do there. I also think it's almost Campbell going, I could go for a shot here, but again, if I don't score or get on target, it goes down to mistake, wouldn't it? I think it's a few of the players, and I don't blame them, it's a tense moment. It's a big game, is this. No one wants to step up. I think a player sometimes will just take a touch and go for goal there. Puts it in the back that you 1-0 up, aren't you? You're just waiting for someone to stand up to this game and take it by the scruff of its neck almost.
As the ball is fired up into the air, and half-time whistle has been blown by Nick Walsh. So going in at half-time, still yet to break the deadlock. Best chance probably coming from that header early on in the first half by Young, but still no goals have been scored. So going in at half-time, St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0.
Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance fell late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 has in store. Half time at the Spicer Stadium, and the St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see what the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, whereas for St Mirren their best chance for late on in the half of Phillips. Straight at the goalkeeper, good save. Both teams are very tense. Let's see where the second 45 as in store. Half-time at the Spicer Stadium, and it is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0, one apiece on aggregate following on from the first leg. A very tense first 45 minutes. The best chance for Partick Thistle was a lovely piece of play, finished off by a header that went wide by Samuel and what have been a menace up top for Thistle, where and it's a warm welcome back to second half coverage of this Scottish Premiership playoff opportunity. St Mirren hosting Partick Thistle is currently goalless on the evening. It's one apiece on aggregate, so it is winner take all this evening. Whoever wins will be bound for the Premiership next season. There has been a change at half time for Partick Thistle. St Mirren are exactly how they were for the first 45 minutes. Off goes Ben McPherson, and on comes a number 2, Cammy Logan. It's right back for right back. It's exactly the same. Not sure if maybe McPherson's picked up an injury. Not 100% sure. We'll have to see that if we get any information about it. Apart from that, though, it was an underwhelming first half, very tense, it has to be said, between the two sides. Best chance of the game probably fell, at least in terms of the host, St Mirren, for Phillips on the turn on his left boot, a strike at goal. Saved well by the goalkeeper, Josh Clark, but one you would expect. For Partick Thistle, there was a sequence where they played some nice football, it has to be said. Their best chance fell for Samuel, but he put his header wide of the mark. Apart from that, we've had a lot of long balls into channels, overhit balls into the goalkeeper. Nothing of real substance, if you will. But again, usually in these big games. In the second half, it tends to open up a little bit. Teams take more chances than they did in the first half. We'll take you quickly through the 11s. It's Sinclair in goal for St Mirren. Back three of Gogic, Freckleton and skipper Fraser. Richardson on the right, Tanzer on the left as wing-backs. Midfield three of Devaney, Phillips and Campbell, with a forward duo of Young and Mandron. Whereas for Partick Thistle, 4-4-2, Clark is in goal. It is now at right back Logan, Ashcroft the skipper, Lowry and Redding. Midfield four of Stanway, Macbeth, Crawford and Fitzpatrick. And Watt and Samuel as a forward duo. Ball on the right side, Richardson tries to poke it forward for Campbell. That's a heavy touch. He's going to get there in the end is Lowry. Ball clearance only as far as the wing back Richardson. They want a throw-in as well from that. They will get that St Mirren. Maybe an opportunity for a long throw-in. Taken short by Fraser. Will he whip one into the box? That's what he's looking for. Of course, as part of that back three, sometimes you need your wider centre-backs at least to get forward and supplement attacks. Long ball forward. Brought down well by Mandron. Holds it well to the edge of the area. Jake Young twists and turns. Goes for a strike. He takes a wicked deflection. But ends up into the arms of Josh Clark. But they need I said at the end of the first half, they need someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck here. Maybe someone like that is a Jake Young or someone for Partick Thistle. We'll have to wait and see. It's independent off-tube studio commentary of all the action. St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0. One apiece on aggregate though. It's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Dale Rosso, take through the entirety of this second half. And I mean, at the moment, it is opening up a little bit down the left-hand side. Come up Thistle into the feet of Samuel. I'll bring Dale in just a moment because here come the visitors outside the area. Strike comes in. It's blocked away. And Mandron will come with the ball. Mandron's brought down there. That might even be a yellow card as well for the Partick Thistle defender. Referee this evening is Nick Walsh, and it will be a yellow card as well for Luke Macbeth. Cynical bringing his man down, so that gives me a chance to bring Dale in. As I said, very tense in that first 45. No real quality. We know both teams have it, and as I said, it almost takes that one chance and something of opening to then open the rest of the game up.
Yeah, 100%. I think, as you said, you're just needing that one chance, that one big opportunity, someone to break away from their man and pop a shot on goal, or like we've alluded to in the first half, maybe a mistake to come from one of the defenders, play someone through accidentally, and it can all open up from there. Because if either side gets a goal in this game, the other one's going to have to respond. They're going to run out of time. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, so someone's got to give, hasn't it, this evening, because it is one apiece. On aggregate, for example, St Mirren, if they were winning, it'd be a different ball game for Partick Thistle, or vice versa if Partick Thistle were leading on aggregate. Throwing on the right-hand side for the host. Fraser will take it. He's getting a little bit more advanced, it has to be said, so far in the early stages of this second half. Into the feet of Devaney. Switches it out to the left-hand side. Again, we spoke in the first half, very much Richardson's more of the dribbler, the progressor of the ball, whereas on the left-hand side, Tanzer is more of wants to take a touch, wants to play the ball quickly, get crosses into the box. Mandron's battling away in the penalty area for the ball. Will he come away with it? He's going to foul his man, says the referee Nick Walsh. Going to be a free kick in the penalty area. Again, you almost spoke about mistakes. It could be a set piece, it could be a mistake, a foul, an opportunity, and at the moment, still very scrappy between the two sides.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think this game was always going to be physical, especially when you've got the likes of Mandron up against Ashcroft. They're going to want to battle it out. They're going to go shoulder to shoulder. We saw it earlier on in the first half as well, as Samuel went up against Fraser. I think both sides are really going to want to impose themselves physically on this game, but in the same sense we've seen more so from Partick Thistle, they do want to bring a certain technicality to this game as well. And it's about which one's going to win out.
Yeah, 100%. They've had a little bit of sequences, quick 1-2, passing, touch, move, touch and go kind of situation for Partick Thistle, whereas St Mirren get on the ball quickly, pass it, be a bit more direct. Partick Thistle have done that as well, but seems to be two different kind of methods for the two sides. On the right hand side, Fraser the skipper, that's not looking for that long direct ball, nodded away by Ashcroft, but Richardson picks it up on the rebound. Phillips, it'll fall for Jake Young outside the area, opens up for a strike at goal, forces a great save out of Clark. And at the moment, for me, out of everyone on the pitch, Young seems like that one player that could just pick it up as he did and nearly put it in the top corner.
Yeah, 100%. I have to agree. I think I mean, as you said, as he done just now, took the ball, got away from 2 or 3 men, and then popped a shot that Clark had to save. Obviously, in the first half, had the headed effort as well. So clearly, posing the bigger threat to the Partick Thistle goal. I think more so than Mandrone, just because he's a little bit more agile.
Yeah, he's just got that movement about him, hasn't he? Spot on there, Tanzer with the in-swinger, still in around the penalty area. They can't quite get rid of it. It'll fall for Devaney. His strike is blocked away off the backside almost there of Samuel Fitzpatrick trying to drive forward. Big tackle coming from Tanzer. Had to get that one right, because if he misses that is a clear yellow card, it has to be said. Battling for the ball. Freckleton will come away with it. St Mirren still have it. Maybe again that Jake Young strike, that opportunity from the set piece, it's just going to open this game up a little bit. Tanzer has it on the right hand side. You know, he wants to get it back on his left boot, plays it into the area, header comes in, it's just going to go wide. It was a good opportunity. Young again with the header. Unfortunately, it's a little bit flat. He's not a great header of the ball, as you can kind of see there. And he's just kind of trying to direct it just towards goal. Maybe someone get on the end of it there, but this is a good spell and sequence from St Mirren.
Yeah, it really is. Look, I think they've gone into the first half thinking they would own the game and control it for the most part. And yes, they did have the most possession, but it was quite clearly Partick Thistle who looked the most likely to score. I think at the half-time, Craig McLeish would have had a word with a few players, quite clearly Young more than anyone else, to say, you need to take this game by the scruff of the neck, you need to force the issues, you need to have a shot if you've got the space to do so. And just then, Young was unfortunate that he wanted to direct the goalwards, but it was too wide of the goal, but also too close to the goal that Mandrone couldn't get a touch either.
It's a bit of an awkward position, wasn't it? As you say, Partick Thistle are back on the ball. Fitzpatrick coming a little bit more centrally. Plays it out to the right-hand side. That's a nice pass to the overlapping run of Stanway. Continues to drive forward. Floats one into the box. Samuel the first. Twist and turns. Strike at goal. It's well saved by the keeper. But Sinclair puts it back into a dangerous area. Freckleton, luckily for the keeper, is there to clear his lines. But once again, quickly trying to... It's a difference. They're trying to play quickly at St Mirren, but in balls into areas, whereas Partick Thistle are playing quickly, but into the feet of players, trying to get them involved. They're almost, it's a 4-4-2, but they're really close together whenever they can get the ball throw-in taken. And my word, is that a waste of a throw-in there. We'll watch the replay back. I want to say that again, it's a decent save by Sinclair, but he puts it into a dangerous area. If that's a little bit, if he saves it further to the right, it falls for what, whether he finishes it or it just comes off of him. That could have been a tap-in.
Yeah, it really could have been. I think he gets really fortunate there, does Sinclair, because he spilled it between the two Partick Thistle players and fortunately found the feet of Freckleton. But nonetheless, it's a strong save that he's palmed into a relatively safe area, and they've got away with it.
And now forward comes St Mirren again. This is what can happen, that Jake Young chance has opened it up. Maybe that chance from Alex Samuel. It just keeps this game open. Long ball forward over the top for Mandrone. He looks offside finally. And he's given us an offside. And once again, similar to those that won in the first half. I'm not saying it's not offside, but it is very, very close. Mandrone had one in the first half where again the flag went up, but it was very, very close. Partick Thistle get us back underway. Watt on the left-hand side. Lovely quick feet once again from the forward. Plays a ball over the top. He's asking a lot of Fitzpatrick, and he puts way too much on it as a 32-year-old and into the arms of Sinclair. Just over 10.5 minutes played in the second half. Approaching the hour mark here at the Spicer Stadium. It is St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0 on the evening. What a piece on aggregate. Ball over the top. Played back for Watt. Can't bring it down nicely in the end, the forward. Definitely doing the dirty work there to win the ball back. Sprays it out to Tanzer on the left, into Mandrone. Phillips has made a nice run into the penalty area, tries to pick him out. It's well defended in the end by Ashcroft. Forward for Samuel. He's trying to drive forward down the left hand side, and I will say it's almost a very central free to a degree, more of a 4-3 actually in this second half, with Watt off the left, Samuel a bit more central, and Fitzpatrick off the right, but quite centrally on the right-hand side. And again, I don't know if that's to match the centre-backs 3v3 and try to go for it. I'm not too sure. It's not really working. Well, it's not really working. It's not that it's being terrible. I'm just not sure what they're kind of going for at the moment at Partick Thistle. They've got a throw-in on the left-hand side, just inside the St Mirren half, and taking his time here is Redding. And he takes a few steps. He's going to throw it long, looking for Watt over his head. Phillips wants to knock it over the top, but Ashcroft is there. Macbeth into the feet of Crawford. Now Partick Thistle have it down the right-hand side for an opportunity. Stanway for a 1-2. Back to Logan. Not too many touches as the right back, and that's a curse of the commentator there, because that is a poor pass from the midfielder, and midfielder right back. He's playing there this evening and has to play for a throw. And one thing you can't argue, because we've seen pictures of both fans, the atmosphere is very tense, but they're both making some noise. They're both getting behind the sides, and I assume in the first half. And for St Mirren, it's all because as you spoke about, they're the favourites. They're expected to have possession. They're expected to do something. If anything, that's not always the nicest of things when all the pressure's on you.
No, it's really not. They've certainly felt the pressure. I think they're starting to grow into this game, so maybe it will relieve it a little bit. But I think you come into these games, and Partick Thistle, if they do lose this game and do go back down to the Championship, no one's necessarily going to blame them for that. They're still going to have a go. Edge of the area, they've got a chance to shoot. It will be cleared away momentarily. But yeah, if Partick Thistle go back to the Championship, it's almost expected to a degree that they won't be blamed. They won't have so much negative fallout as much as St Mirren would have if they were to go down, obviously stepping down from the Premiership.
Yeah, no. As we spoke about, St Mirren coming into this game, big favourites. It has to be said. I think in a two-legged affair, whether you're favourites or not, as long as you just don't lose your away leg, you're doing quite well. St Mirren, it was one apiece in the first leg. That was when they were away. At home, get your business done. That was a poor tackle there from Phillips. Maybe a bit of frustration from the St Mirren number 88. So it will be an opportunity here from a free kick. Fitzpatrick will looking to be the man. Crawford's over it as well. It will be Fitzpatrick. Whips one into the box. Not too many red and yellow jerseys. It falls for Watt on the edge. Floats one into the box. It's a good delivery. Header over the bar. Hits it nicely with the outside of his right boot there. Almost kind of floating but poking it in at the same time. Ashcroft is there but gets right underneath it. What I will say is, well, in this second half, it is St Mirren going from left to right in the usual black and white. Partick Thistle going from right to left in the red and yellow. If Partick Thistle were to score, they're in front of their Barmy fans. If they do score, it's going to be the quote-unquote limbs in the away end. Yeah,
it really will. I think, as you said, the Smythe Stadium's at capacity here, so 8,000 fans. There's at least 2,000 Partick Thistle ones, and it's going to be a hell of an atmosphere.
Yeah, we can just see. That's one thing. I think box to box, both teams have played some good stuff. I think it's just been a little bit underwhelming in the final third. That's a late tackle, and it will be a yellow card for Scott Tanzer there. Because he's picked up a couple in the game. If you want to believe Luke Macbeth is the other player on a yellow card. Just go back and check that just to make sure. He goes into box. It's a late one from Tanzer. It's a yellow card. It's nothing more than that. But again, is that a slide tackle out of a bit of frustration there?
Yeah, I think it is. I think of all the St Mirren players, I think Tanzer's been just as involved as everyone else, but not as effective. And I think his own frustration of, yes, playing on that left-hand side, and he wants to get forward and play balls in behind, but he's not being allowed to do that, so he's forced to defend a little bit more. And yeah, I think he's maybe just a little fed up of it. Temper's getting the best of him.
Ball into the box from the right-hand side. It's cleared away well by Godrich. Jake Young tries to clear it away. Clears it off his studs. Pretty poor there from the forward. And St Mirren will look to just clear their lines. They've got to be careful. They're not. Now come down the right-hand side. Campbell, is he brought down? Referee, let's say it was a slip there. The St Mirren midfielder not really happy with that one. Looking like Jake Young actually has gone down as well. One of these, maybe his right hamstring. That looks to be a sore one. And if he was to come off, and it looks like with just how he's holding it, I'll watch it back. It's when he does go for this clearance. I say he goes for it and he completely flicks it up. And everyone's kind of been there where you've overstretched for something, and it's maybe a groin or a hamstring. If he went off, that would be a real individual that you are losing. Campbell looks like he might be at least making his way to the dugout for a few words of encouragement. Just over an hour played. No apology, it's going to be a double substitution. Just over an hour played, as I say, though. St Mirren 0, Partick Thistle 0. They're going to make a double change. The hosts, Only the one change so far in the game previous to this. McPherson came off at half-time for Logan. Just waiting to see if it will be to come off. Jake Young definitely is the first player. So we have a full confirmation from our broadcasters, as well as Campbell and O'Hara and Idabu are on in their place. And again, it could be something that a substitute who's been there on the sidelines, has been talking to his coach, he's seen what's going on, could come on and make a big impact.
Yeah, it looks like the two players coming on, of course, will want to make an impact and want to change the way the game's been going. I think Idabu, of course, he's got that bit of pace and a bit of something about him, similar to how Young was moving the ball around for St Mirren. I think he really will want to take this game by the scruff of its neck and make that impact.
St Mirren have the ball on the left-hand side, looking for Idabu. Of course, O'Hara, he's a skipper for St Mirren. That was one of the kind of headlines coming into this game, that he was, again, I don't like the word dropped. You're just changing the squad out. If you were dropped, you wouldn't probably, unless it's an injury. I can understand if you were out of the squad. That is truly being dropped. Mandron has the ball on the left-hand side, pokes it, looking for Tanzer, of course, now on a yellow card as well. Is the wing back from left wing back to right wing back. Richardson swings the ball into the box. Idaho trying to get there. It'll fall on the edge of the area. Strike comes in, it's on target. It tests the goalkeeper from Tanzer. I said at the edge of the box. It's probably another 10-15 yards outside the penalty area, actually. And again, it's at the goalkeeper. You're testing the goalkeeper, but we're still really waiting for that one-on-one chance, that big chance where we can both sit and go, okay, that's where the scoring should have been opened.
Yeah, there hasn't really been that one gilt-edged opportunity as of yet. I think St Mirren certainly have had the better opportunities, but you wouldn't have looked at either one of them and went, he should have scored there, or he's going to feel disappointed that he's not. I think they've done well to turn the momentum of the game around, in all fairness.
I definitely agree with that one. We're just looking at pictures now of Phillips. He's getting a little bit frustrated, it has to be said, in the middle. It's another foul that he's given away. Fitzpatrick just lures him in there. He pulls a jersey as well of Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick doesn't go down to give him credit. I don't think he's looking for a free kick. That's Paul there. Idaho wins the ball, comes away over it. I believe that is, again, Fitzpatrick getting involved and bringing his man down. Idaho already bringing something more and something different into the game. Fitzpatrick had the heavy touch. Idaho comes across to win the ball, gets his body in the way, wins a free kick and a set piece, and this could be a vital one.
Yeah, it really looks like it could be. It's in that middle park where, yes, it's a little far out, but they could very easily either cross this ball into the box, but it's slightly too central for that to be all too effective, and they could take a shot as well, but they're slightly too far away for that to be effective.
Well, you're right, it's a very awkward position. O'Hara swings one, it's a decent one to the back post, and it's in the back of the net, stretching to get there. A couple of players looking at the linesman. What a delivery from the skipper. He's not been on the field that long, but he puts a beautiful ball into the box. And it looks to be, is it Fraser, the man who had the armband on earlier? Yes, it is. He's the one. All of his teammates are almost piling on. What a big goal that is. 65 minutes on the clock. It's St Mirren 1, Partick Thistle 0.
Yeah, well, fortune favours the brave, and it was Fraser who was the bravest to dive at that ball on the back post. We'll have another look to see if he's onside. I mean, it'd go down to shoulders, to be fair, but it's on that back post, and he's just swung a leg at it. You need that bit of fortune, but he's the only one who's been brave enough to swing a leg at it, as it ricochets off the underside of the crossbar and into the back of the net. There's absolutely nothing that Josh Clark can do about it. There's absolutely nothing that any of the Partick Thistle players can do about it. It's so, I don't want to call it a lucky goal in any way, shape or form, but it's so good that if it was planned, that's football genius.
100%. It's a lovely ball, and as well, of course, VAR it's a Scottish Premiership game, so VAR is in motion. It's almost as well. There's a Partick Thistle defender who also has his arm out at the kind of same length that Fraser does as well. Actually, watch it back. It almost comes off his left calf as well, doesn't it? He's just trying to reach, trying to get anything onto it. And for the moment, it does stand on the field, but I do believe the referee this evening, Nick Walsh, is just having a moment. He's having a word in his ear. I think the big problem and the big big hearty mouth moment will be is if he does the monitor, and that's when you go, oh, that's when it could be disallowed, just because we're so used to stereotyping. Look, if whatever's given on the field, if he puts up the monitor, it's going to get overturned. The referee does point to the middle of the field, so the goal is given. Look, it was close. It was a quick decision, to give credit to all the officials involved. The St Mirren fans, they're happy. You spoke about it as well, and I always say it's as cliche as it comes, but goals change games, and you spoke about it earlier, and that's going to force down Partick Thistle. It is so close, is the VAR for it. It's basically, I think they're as level as you can get, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it's a well-timed run from the defender, it has to be said. But now this is going to open again. Partick Thistle will have to come forward. That might mean there's more space for St Mirren on a counter as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think Partick Thistle are going to look at the clock, see 67 minutes, and think to themselves that they're running out of time. They're currently down a goal. They're going to need to score one more if they obviously want to push it to extra time. And well, I think it's really going to open this game up. Now they're going to look around and see Samuel and Watt up top, of course. Can they get a goal? Or does Mark Wilson need to make some changes? And just touching on that VAR decision, of course, they're as tight as you can get, but realistically, with them being that tight, does the forward get any advantage? No.
No, it's to say he's a centre-back, well, he's got to time his run to perfection, to be honest as well. There's been a change. Chalmers has come on and Macbeth is off for Partick Thistle, number 19 off number 10 on, of course, Macbeth on a yellow card as well, so that's maybe something that could play into why Macbeth has been taken off. It's more of an attacking change as well, and you point out rightfully so, and this is not trying to say that Partick Thistle should be happy with losing, no one should be, but they are the underdogs this evening. They're not, as you said, if it would be more of a shock for St Mirren to be playing Championship football than Partick Thistle playing Premiership football. They've been out of the Scotland's top division since the 17-18 season. So they are underdogs, but I mean, similar to St Mirren, they just haven't really created that real big chance. And if I'm honest, O'Hara came onto the field. He's been on 4 minutes. We spoke about set pieces could be massive as well. That's where a goal could come from. It's almost that O'Hara's got a great set piece. He's pinged it right into the back sticks. And it was just a well-timed run, and maybe, if I'm being a bit critical, Partick Thistle just didn't defend it as well as they could have.
No, of course. I mean, you look at the goal scorer on that back post there, and he's completely open. Yes, he's got a little bit fortunate with the way the ball's gone into the back of the net to lift it over Josh Clark, but he's completely open. You've allowed him to swing a leg at it with no real risk and all of the reward.
Seeing the St Mirren fans there jumping for joy at the moment. They're happy with what they're seeing with that goal. I can imagine if we would have probably panned to it now, if it was 0-0, there would have been a lot more finger biting than other finger gestures that were being shown in the crowd at that moment in time. And then we see the pictures of the Partick Thistle fans. It is nail biting for them. It's again, they're basically stand, as you said, about 2,000. It's whatever the capacity is, a quarter of it, because it's a stand. It's going to Partick Thistle supporters. Look, they're not out of it, as Dale rightfully said. Time is becoming their enemy because they've got 20 minutes left. But also, 20 minutes is better than if Partick Thistle conceded in the 85th minute, and you've got to turn it around very quickly. They've got changes that they can make. Chalmers coming on from Macbeth, that could be something that changes the game. St Mirren, though, I think they'll be confident thinking, could we go get a second? And I think a second probably finishes this game. Or first half to second half for St Mirren. They've had 5 shots in the first half, 8 in the second. The difference, though, 2 shots on target, 4 in the second. They've really taken it to Josh Clark, it has to be said, whether it's shots outside the area or shots inside. That's a poor pass forward and out of play for a goal kick for Partick Thistle. If you are joining us, warm welcome. It's independent off-tube studio commentary. We're just halfway through the second half. St Mirren 1, Partick Thistle 0 on the evening. 2-1 the horse lead on aggregate. And to take us through to full time, pass you over to Dale.
Yeah, and Partick Thistle are in possession of the ball, just on the cusp of the halfway line. It's a hell of a clearance coming in from Gargich there, but yeah, just touching on what you just said there, Lewis, with the stats. Yes, they've got obviously 8 shots and 4 on target as opposed to 5 and 2 in the first half, but we're also only just halfway through the second half, and they've essentially literally doubled their shots on target in the second half. And coming forward now are Partick Thistle to try and respond and retaliate to that goal, and those stats, of course, as a cross into the area is charged down and cleared away behind for a corner kick. Didn't see too many corners for Partick Thistle in the first half, so maybe the Jags can do something about it now, as Fitzpatrick's made his way across, raises his left arm and places it in the quadrant where he desires most, and St Mirren is set up to defend this in-swinging corner from the left-hand side. It's high, looping up into the air, the header comes in and it's saved by Sinclair. Cleared to the edge of the area as a ball into the box is charged down yet again. This time it was Logan's effort that was charged down by Killian Phillips. So it will be a Partick Thistle throw-in on that right-hand side as the cross again charged down by Phillips. So we'll actually essentially have a do-over there. Partick Thistle pass into the area now. Tackle comes in, tries to keep it in, couldn't do so, and in turn actually puts it out himself, does Samuel. I'd say he's not had the greatest of games up top as Samuel. He's certainly wearing his heart on his sleeve and he's doing all he can out there, but in terms of actual output, you find him with his back to goal more than not.
He seems more of that creative striker, doesn't he? Doesn't feel like he's a real finisher. I mean, I'm not saying he can't score goals at all, but as you saw in that first half, we spoke about it, he wants to link up play a little bit more, doesn't he? He's not that number 9 who's always thinking on the last line of defence, trying to get in behind, get one-on-ones. He's not that type of striker, and neither is Watt. Maybe that's what they're missing a little bit in this game, is that presence. They're looking to at least make 2 changes in a moment, might have even been 3. I said it was definitely 2, but of course that goal, it's changed the atmosphere, it's changed the tension in the ground, and here come Partick Thistle.
Yeah, Partick Thistle on the edge of the area is Watt trying to turn Phillips inside out. And in the end, it's Gogic who comes across to win possession back for St Mirren. And then it's Idawu coming forward on that right-hand side. He's been tackled though as the ball goes over the line for a Partick Thistle throw. And the camera is focused on Gogic and he is absolutely barking orders to his teammate. And we were saying in the first half how if I was an opposing striker, I'd be scared, but with the way he was talking to his teammates, I think they all are.
Exactly. Maybe trying to say, yeah, you should be scared of me too, but my teammates are scared of me even more. So that's the difference there. Double change coming up, and Stanley and Redding are coming off, and Mackay Stephen and Let Sosa are coming onto the field of play. So I can imagine Mackay Stephen more of a winger from what I at least know. So maybe that's a change of maybe going to a 5 at the back and saying it's going to be a wing back, but you're going to be a winger, or just he's going to play at full back, but just a very much an attacking one. I'm not too sure. I have to wait and see how it does play out. But at the moment, St Mirren, it's a lot more open this game now, isn't it? Because it has to be. Partick Thistle have to come further forward. It's going to be as cliche as it sounds. I said that when the opening goal will be massive, but look, whoever gets the next goal, it'll really sum up the game, if you will.
Yeah, it certainly will. And St Mirren coming forward, and there was a lovely opportunity then to put a ball into the box early to try and find Idawu, but didn't play the ball. Killian Phillips, and in the end he's ran himself into a bit of a cul-de-sac as the tackle comes in from Letsosa, putting it behind for a St Mirren throw. Now, of course, they had a throw-in opportunity from a similar position in the first half. They decided to take it short, and they've done the same this time. Although it was slightly a better throw as the ball then played back to the taker, and a ball into the box looking for Idawu, headed away by Lowry, and then hooked away entirely by Logan. As Samuel again with his back to the defenders, trying to hold up the ball, but he doesn't really have the physicality to do that. As St Mirren then come away with possession. Idawu, edge of the area, has the pass to Mandrone, decides not to use it, tries to go himself, and is eventually stopped by Letsosa. Letsosa coming in to help out the defence, it seems. Of course, he's not naturally a defender entirely, but in the end, that's where he's being asked to come in and help, and that's what he's doing so far. As Partick Thistle, I'm sure he will still get up, of course, he's more than capable of doing that, but as of right now, St Mirren have them on the back foot. As the goalkeeper, Clark, not Sinclair, in possession of the ball, plays out towards the right-hand side as Ashcroft finds Logan, plenty of numbers getting forward now for the Jags. Up the left-hand side now, Fitzpatrick, edge of the area. up against Richardson. Puts a ball into the area. It's bobbled around and then cleared away by Tanser. But it didn't look comfortable at all defensively from St Mirren. And now Partick Thistle back in possession again. St Mirren won't want to sit back, but they're certainly inviting a little pressure from Partick Thistle as Letsosa now coming forward, plays it in towards Samuel, sliding challenges late, so it will be a free kick to the Jags, and it's Fraser who obviously scored the goal, sees himself at the referee's mercy.
Yeah, he's just late. He goes over the ball, not too high, but I mean, Letsosa, he said that was beautiful play from the substitute, getting involved, driving forward, and I sometimes look the fresh legs to me. It's just that freshness of. That could have been Fitzpatrick, but he's put a lot into this game, for example, so maybe he's not got that burst of speed that he would have had in the first 10 or 15 minutes, which he had a few chances with. But Lex also does have the fresh legs, and it surprised me he wasn't even a yellow card, if I'm honest. But this is a really good opportunity from this free kick now, and Fitzpatrick's got he looks like he's over it. I mean, he's taken a lot, if not most, of the set pieces, so an opportunity, and also a couple of other players over it.
Yes, it certainly is a brilliant opportunity for Partick Thistle to at least create a moment of chaos. It's very close to the edge of the area as they step up, and the shot comes in, and it's a powerful shot straight through the wall from Chalmers. The number 10, the substitute, forcing a big save from Sinclair.
Yeah, what you would say is, unfortunately, he's kind of straight at the goalkeeper, but my word, as you said, he gets some power on it. That could be one of them where, yeah, he saves it into the back of his own net. That was a great strike. If that could have just been a little bit more to the left, because that's where it was going, or even maybe 5 yards further back, so we get a bit more swivel on the ball, that might have ended up in the back of the net. And I think, I mean, myself included, I thought Fitzpatrick would take it, so I thought his run was going to be a dummy. So that's also trying to take a bit of from the keeper, isn't it? But this is another set piece, another corner. And
this one will be Fitzpatrick to take in towards the back post as Richardson wins the header. Isn't able to get to the second ball though, and it will go behind for a corner kick from the far side. And yes, just going back to that free kick, it was a lengthy run up from Chalmers as well. Of course, what helped him generate that power as the ball comes in from the right hand side this time. Freckleton up to win the header, and then Letsosa winning the second ball, finds it back into the area for it to be cleared all the way to the feet of Clark. He's found himself near the halfway line as he fires it up towards the right hand side. Headers won though by Killian Phillips, and over the touchline for a Partick Thistle throw. And then it's a poor throw in the end, and it's allowed Idawu to come away with possession. He lays it off to his midfield teammate. Now out towards the left-hand side, it's Tanset, plays a ball over the top and claims of an off-the-ball foul there on Mandron. Not heard really by Nick Walsh. Either that or he heard them and disregarded them, of course, as it's fired into Letsosa. Now out towards this right-hand side is Logan. Letsosa again, long ball over the top, looping, so it stayed in field. And it's a sliding challenge there. The referee's actually giving it the other way there, much to Samuel's surprise and dismay. And I have to agree with him, I thought that was going to go his way. Yeah, watching it back, it's a tug of the shirt there, isn't it, from Freckleton, that he brings him down. That should be a free kick. If I'm honest, it should either be a free kick, which I would accept, or I just think you just play on because both. I could understand why, if Samuel was trying to maybe put his body in the way, but the defender's dragging him down by his jersey. Just watching him back to goal from. Well, that's a brilliant camera angle that you see it from there as the ball was whipped in. But that's what we spoke about. That's O'Hara coming on, not being on that long, and it's a set piece because you could just at this level. And I mean, we watch the Premier League and just sometimes we take it for granted, or the upper echelon of football. These players are still fantastic players, but they've just got maybe that one bit of brilliance. And that's O'Hara's one bit of brilliance is, you know what? I'm going to put it right into an area, and he won my teammates get on the end of it. It's exactly what they did, and that's exactly sums this game up. Yeah, it certainly does. And Partick Thistle now in possession as they Play the ball into midfield and let Sosa now out towards this right-hand side as Ashcroft plays a long ball over the top, looking for a teammate in Chalmers, but he can't bring it down, and it'll go the way of St Mirren. And now Idawu on the halfway line on the 10. Plenty of space to run into, but no teammates to help him out. The number 7 forced to check his run, got inside, and then play it back, all the way back to Devaney. Now with O'Hara, Richardson tries to play it through the legs of McKay Stephen, but it's taken a nick off of the substitute, the Partick Thistle number 11. So it will go out for a throw-in on the right-hand side, and a substitution here for Partick Thistle as Robbie Crawford has made his way off the pitch for Kyle Turner. So a relatively like-for-like change. Maybe Turner more defensively minded than anything else, but will certainly come in to shore up that midfield, maybe help his side get an equaliser in this game, as the ball up this left-hand side, and plenty of options going forward for Samuel. But with that change for Partick Thistle, that is all 5 of their substitutions having been used. And Idawu coming forward now on the right-hand side for St Mirren. Cuts in on his left foot. Tries to find a pass to lay it off. Instead, takes a little too long on the ball and unable to find a teammate. Although St Mirren still in possession. Mandron in the penalty area, trying to twist and turn away. Richardson fires it into the area. 2 strong hands from Clark as it goes behind for a St Mirren corner. I think it was good improvisation there from Richardson to just take that ball off of Mandron, who was quite clearly struggling to keep it.
Yeah, and I think he puts a decent ball in, really. I think there's no wrong with it to a degree. And to me, Partick Thistle just looking a little bit fatigued. I know they've made changes, but they do look like that term of, they just, St Mirren just have that little bit more quality about them, and they've brought them down. Of course, I know it was a set piece, but then they haven't been able to really put it all together. They've got another one here with Tanza, though. Yes,
Tanza with the corner kick from the right-hand side, left-footed in swinger, in towards the back post. The header's won by a Mirren man, and it's actually Gogic with the effort on goal, but it was off target. So it will be a Partick Thistle goal kick, one that's actually been taken short. I think for the first time in this game, a goal kick's been taken short. Maybe not the time to do it when you need to get forward, but taking care of the ball seems to be the aim for Mark Wilson's men. As Lockery coming forward on that left-hand side, the Canadian, obviously on our team sheets as a centre-half, finds himself at left wing as the ball into the box is blocked and cleared away by Fraser. So it will be a Partick Thistle throw-in, and not for the first time in this game. They've taken the throw-in short, and the pass back to the throw-in taker is off target, and it goes behind for an opposition throw.
It's just that at the moment, you can see those fans in the away end there looking a little bit lost at the moment. They're a little bit down out. St Mirren are just going to make a change. They're going to make it now, I believe. It looks like that Richardson maybe going off. Richardson coming off and King coming on, like for like change. Right wing back. But yeah, I just think at the moment, just both teams of St Mirren want to hear that full-time whistle. Partick Thistle, they're not hanging on, but in the second half, St Mirren have really, I think, upped their game, whereas in the first half, Partick Thistle very good. There's a little bit of a coming together here. Freckleton and Watt were the 2 players, and then Ashcroft comes over just to pull his man away. Not sure what it's over. Could be absolutely handbags if both players watching a replay, not getting each other's face, but having a few words, and then what, doesn't push him, but he kind of just puts his arm on his shoulder kind of thing. I don't know if he's just maybe wound up in a bit of frustration there from the forward. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, of course. This happens all the time in playoff matches. Of course, players, they get their hopes up. They see themselves as being able to win the game and go on to play in a higher league. And I think that's all it is for Watt. Clear that Freckleton didn't want to be involved in a scuffle, if you will, with Watt. He didn't want to get into an argument, and I think that was the wisest move from the St Mirren centre half. Just let him get it out and carry on playing the football that you are. And now it's Partick Thistle in possession. A switch of play up towards this left-hand side as Fitzpatrick lays it off once more, finds Lockery again at left wing, cut across goal. Cleared away though by Killian Phillips. Finding Idawu with plenty of space to run into. The number 7 still going is Idawu, up against 3 or 4 Partick Thistle defenders. Lays it off to Mirren once more, and a shot comes in, and it's off the advertisement boards more so than anything else. The camera angle made it look like it might have been on target, but it certainly was off target as Mandron, his shot just away from goal. But what a piece of dribbling to carry the ball forward this was from Idawu.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't he? Shrugged one defender off and then took it past another who's just big and strong. And yeah, I feel for Mandarin there. Ashcroft's got a yellow card as well, just confirmation of that. We didn't see that on our screens, but the broadcasters are giving that as an update. But you're right, it was lovely players. Here come Partick Thistle again, too big, too strong. Should go out for another goal kick it is. And again, there's Kojic. You spoke about being that old classic hard man. He looks like the type of he loves a bit of the banter with the fans and the old the Hawaiian kind of cool, just calm down kind of hand sign to the travelling fans, and it looks like a bit of a wind-up merchant, if you will.
Yeah, he certainly does. He strikes me as the type of guy who loves to be feared in terms of everyone thinking he's scary, but wouldn't actually hurt a fly, and just likes to have a laugh.
Like a big teddy bear almost.
A big bald teddy bear.
Yes.
As Sinclair will take the goal kick, and it's fired all the way out and over the touchline, so it will be a throw-in for Partick Thistle. And again, goals in the 90-plus minute. They have 9, do Partick Thistle, so plenty of reason for them to believe they can at least get an equaliser in this game. But they've not really created all too many opportunities in the latter stages of this game so far. But of course we approach the 90th minute with bated breath to see how much time Partick Thistle do have left to get that equaliser, and how much time do they have to hold off this St Mirren barrage of opportunities as they win the ball back and clear it away. And it's an opportunity for them to come forward. Now it seems to be a 3-on-3 momentarily, but numbers are coming back for St Mirren. Up on this right-hand side now is Samuel. He lays it off once more, but can't find a teammate as it takes a deflection off a St Mirren man. And the throw-in is taken quickly. Letsosa up towards this right-hand side again. Chalmers, his ball into the box, flicked on once more, pops up into the area. Samuel brings it down well, lays it off towards the left-hand side for Fitzpatrick. Now with Lockery. And again, Partick Thistle with a real urgency to move the ball around now. Up on this right-hand side, Chalmers, his ball into the box, chested down well, cleared away by St Mirren, just about edge of the area. Shot not coming in because he was quickly swarmed, was Turner, but he certainly wanted to shoot from that distance as the clearance is over the touchline, and quickly taken is the throw-in, or they wanted to take it quickly it seems. Will the referee pause the game for this throw-in, for this substitution, sorry, as it's quite clear there is a substitution to be taking place, and it's Killian Phillips making his way off the pitch and Dan Nalundalu coming on to replace him.
Yeah, and it's again a fresh leg to, I think sometimes, excuse me, in this defensive, you kind of defend, you want to defend from the front, don't you? So you want fresh legs in those front areas. Maybe even he's more of an attacking midfielder, of course, can play striker. But from the very little I have seen, long throw in here though, it's question is 5 minutes of stoppage time. That's just been given. It's going to be a long 5 minutes, but here comes St Mirren.
It certainly could be a long 5 minutes if Idawu could get a goal here inside the penalty area. Twisting, turning, lovely footwear, cut it back once more. The shot comes in, blocked though by Partick Thistle. I think it was Lockery who got his leg in the way, and it is cleared away off to the sidelines for a throw-in opportunity. But what a chance this was from Idawu. Lovely footwork from the number 7, twisting and turning and then cutting it across goal.
He's a lovely player. As you say, it's a great block. I want to say, is it Ashcroft who blocks a strike away? He's just inside the 6-yard box, and that's a captain's block. That's a captain's piece of defensive play. As well, speaking about St Mirren and Partick Thistle, I'm not saying Partick Thistle will be happy they've lost 1-0 or losing 1-0. But look, again, you've got to look at progression, haven't you? Like, can you build on that next season, and where will you be? You've come close to beating a Premiership side in terms of the racing for getting up. So they've got to be proud. Again, St Mirren will almost look back at this as, right, we had a terrible season, we've got to get back on track in the summer, but they'll celebrate tonight as it stands anyway.
They certainly will, and a little bit of showmanship here as Idawu and Nalundaloo make their way to the corner flag in the hopes they can take it short and protect the ball in the corner. They didn't do a good job of it in the end, and they've been forced out. Played it in towards the centre. Gogic finds King, Nalundaloo. He keeps it in, but can't keep it out of Partick Thistle hands. I should say feet, of course, as Freckleton picks up the ball. And, well, just as I was saying earlier that Gogic isn't the one to hurt anyone, I'm proven wrong, as he's coming together now with Samuel, and he's a brave, brave man, is Samuel. He'll receive a yellow card for his troubles. Gogic has also received a yellow card, and now he's on to berate the referee.
I was watching it back. I mean, the both have... I mean, it's one of them where they've both got arms all over each other, haven't they? I think I wouldn't have given either a yellow card. Maybe it's the pushing and shoving afterwards where the yellow cards come from. I'm not too sure. I think the problem with Gogic there is you said, he was the one trying to calm it down, saying to everyone, look, we were just coming together there, and now they hug it out. I think it was more that he kind of grabbed Samuel with the back of his neck, didn't he, as he was trying to talk to him. Samuel, well, there's no need to do that to me. Because it was just a good battle between the Welshman and the St Mirren defender, but then as Gogic goes, if someone grabs you by the back of your neck, you're always going to go, well, get off my neck, there's no need for that. It was a good battle, but yeah, I think Gogic is one of those players where if you do that to him, he stands up to it. That's where he comes out, doesn't he? That's where his presence comes from. He wants to be battle tested, and I think he's had a good game. He had that mistake early on, but apart from that, he's had a solid game.
Yeah, he certainly has, and I mean, he was happy to shake hands straight away, but it was then Samuel who kept pushing and forcing the issue. And then Gogic was forced to just have a word with him more than anything else. The Cypriot just doing his job, and well, he's done his job brilliantly there, hasn't he? A ball in behind from Partick Thistle, and he had to cut it out, and he had to get it right. But Gogic doing just that as he plays it up the line, finding Nalundaloo. Long ball over the top, finding Mandrone. Trying to find his strike partner in Idawu, but couldn't do so. Although as it stands, of course, you can imagine 30 seconds for the fight being added back on maybe at the end of the 5, but 60 seconds left of the 5 minutes that were added on. It's a chance here. Samuel brings it down in the area. Can a shot come away? Is there a penalty claim as well? There's certainly claims for it. Let's Sosa. He plays it off towards the right-hand slide. Slide and challenge. Now a claim for handball. The referee's already blown his whistle for the challenge on Let's Sosa. So there will be a free kick at least on the edge of the area. I'm sure the VAR team in the back room will at least have a look at this challenge. John Beaton is your man on the VAR, behind the VAR screens. Did he get enough of the ball there, Freckleton? I'm not too sure.
It's very close, isn't it? It's unfortunate. I really don't like saying this. I end up saying all the time, we've seen them given, and I think that's the problem, because whether you think that's a penalty or not, because that has been given, it's asked for it. I will say Chalmers didn't ask for it, so that was probably what I would have said is, well, if he's not asking for it, probably isn't a penalty. Let's Sosa did get absolutely wiped out, though, and that's why the free kick's been given. We've hit the 5 minutes. You said maybe in 20, 30 seconds added on for that scuffle and this free kick being given, but this is probably maybe even last chance saloon here, but what a chance.
Yeah, it certainly is a big chance, and as you said, we have seen them given. From a legal perspective, that sets precedent.
Yes.
So you can certainly understand the appeals from the Partick Thistle men. It's a big wall, though, from St Mirren. If the shooter is to get it over, the shot comes in, and it's into the wall, popped up into the air, and it looks to be cleared away by Tanser as he fires it up into the sky. Has the referee has blown his final whistle. So just the one goal that makes the difference, and it was a rather fortunate one, but luck was created by themselves. St Mirren, as Marcus Fraser struck on the back post, fired it up into the underside of the crossbar, and it found its way into the back of the net. So staying in the Scottish Premiership, St Mirren win 1-0 on the night. On aggregate, it's St Mirren 2, Partick Thistle 1.